My loving brothers and sisters, thank you for your prayers in my behalf. I have felt them. The doctrine of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints centers on the family. Essential to our doctrine on the family is the temple. The ordinances received there enable us to return as eternal families to the presence of our Heavenly Father. As of the April 2025 General Conference, President Russell M. Nelson had announced the construction of 200 new temples. He loved to announce new temples at the conclusion of each General Conference, and we all rejoiced with him. However, with the large number of temples now in the very earliest phases of planning and construction, it is appropriate that we slow down the announcement of new temples. Therefore, with the approval of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, we will not announce any new temples at this conference. We will now move forward in providing the ordinances of the temple to members of the church throughout the world, including when and where to announce the construction of new temples. The portion of my talk that I have just delivered was written after the death of our beloved President Russell M. Nelson. What follows now was written and approved weeks before, but it still represents my teachings inspired by the Lord. The Family Proclamation, announced exactly 30 years ago, declares that the family is ordained of God and is central to the Creator's plan for the eternal destiny of His children. It also declares that God's commandment for His children to multiply and replenish the earth remains in force. And we further declare that God has commanded that the sacred powers of procreation are to be employed only between man and woman lawfully wedded as husband and wife. As then Elder Russell M. Nelson taught a BYU audience, the family is, quote, pivotal to God's plan. In fact, a purpose of the plan is to exalt the family, end of quote. The Church of Jesus Christ is sometimes known as a family-centered church. It is. Our relationship to God and the purpose of our mortal life are explained in terms of the family. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the plan of our Heavenly Father for the benefit of His Spirit children. We can truly say that the gospel plan was first taught to us in the counsel of an eternal family. It is implemented through our mortal families, and its intended destiny is to exalt the children of God in eternal families. Despite that doctrinal context, there is opposition. In the United States, we are suffering from a deterioration in marriage and childbearing. For nearly 100 years, the proportion of households headed by married couples has declined, and so has the birth rate. The marriages and birth rates of our church members are much more positive, but they have also declined significantly. It is vital that Latter-day Saints do not lose their understanding of the purpose of marriage and the value of children. That is the future for which we strive. Exaltation is a family affair, President Nelson has taught us. Quote, only through the saving ordinances of the gospel of Jesus Christ can families be exalted, end of quote. The national declines in marriage and childbearing are understandable for historic reasons, but Latter-day Saint values and practices should improve, not follow those trends. In my boyhood, 70 years ago, I lived on my grandparents' farm in a setting where almost all that happened during the day was under the direction of the family. There was no television or other electronics to distract from family activities. In contrast, in today's urban society, few members experience consistent family-centered activities. Urban living and modern transportation, organized entertainment, and high-speed communication have made it easy for youth to treat their homes as boarding houses where they sleep and take an occasional meal, but where there is far less parental direction of their activities. Parental influences have also been diluted by the way in which most current members of the church earn a living. In times past, one of the great influences that unified families was the experience of struggling together in pursuit of a common goal, such as taming the wilderness or earning a living. The family was an organized and conducted unit of economic production. Today, most families are units of economic consumption, which does not require a high degree of family organization and cooperation. As parental influences diminish, Latter-day Saints still have a God-given responsibility to teach their children to prepare for our family destiny in eternity.
Travis Wayne Goodsell, it is done. Told you so. We're going to do 2 videos separately. This is going to be Oaks. He's the head of the church. Then we'll get to the full wrap-up review with the final session and a wrap-up of the whole session. This one is of vital importance. I know Mormons hate me. They don't recognize I'm trying to save their lives. They don't know what a real prophet is who predicts the future, who gives dates of those predictions of the future, which is called Revelation. That they don't know what a real translator of Paleo-Hebrew and Egyptian is. They don't believe that a person can have prophecy and revelation dreams. That the church is true at all costs, that the church tells Mormons to feel good about it, and that's the spirit. And so that turns everybody who is not following that feeling as the enemy. I know these Mormons. They've been trying to destroy me and shut me up this whole latter days. as they don't get that I'm trying to save lives, but they see it as me trying to destroy this church. And there are times where it's the leaders of the church who are ordering Mormons to destroy me, and other times it's Mormons who step up on their own to destroy me. The video I just did for the first Sunday session, I called it because 2 hours before there was indeed a comment by such a person. That's for the next video. I am on the top of my game this year, and last November is why all of this is the way it is. If it hadn't have been for the leak that got to me last November, this whole year would have been a different video presentation for all of you. And it's important and vital that all Mormons understand this. I am not your enemy, even though you declare I am. The Mormon YouTube employee down in Utah County who's rigged the algorithms against me, he does not get it. He may be ordered by D. Todd. He may be doing it on his own. I know it is only Mormons who attack me. All the cyber attacks, all the physical attacks, all of the threats, all by Mormons. Even through Microsoft and Google, it's all by Mormons. There are patterns that Mormons expose that is unique to the rest of the world. And those patterns identify my attackers as Mormon. Nobody else is attacking me. 2017, yeah, I had the whole world watching, because the whole world knows some high level of the big picture of what's about to happen right now. We are Latter-day Saints. That means we're waiting for Armageddon, the day that shall burn as an oven with a mass human extermination. That's what that means, in case you haven't read your scriptures. The end of the Book of Mormon is a tragedy. That's for the other video. Everybody dies in the end of the book. Utter destruction of the human race. And we are warned. We are warned, because the book is for us, not to allow utter destruction. That there is a secret combination seeking to cause utter destruction, seeking to cause the day that shall burn as an oven, that is wrongfully called Armageddon. So there are some things we urgently need to talk about for this final conference, which, yes, I called that too. A final conference. I am on a roll. There's some background history. I think it was 2021's April conference where I started to do prediction videos for conference. We'll call them prediction videos. And as a result, they caught on and have been cyber terrorizing me a month in advance, knowing that I did that pattern. And so, yeah, likewise, for both conferences this year, a month in advance, I got attacked. Last year was worse. That was the Valentine's Day massacre, and then they were pissed with my conference videos that they then caused the Mother's Day massacre. So yes, I'm well aware. And yes, I am known to all 15 of the corporate board. You don't know me, you don't watch my videos, you haven't been following, you don't know Mormonism, you don't know the church, you just lived it growing up in it. And so all of you, except for maybe those who follow me, may have said, oh my God, Travis was right again. You don't know what he said because you don't put it in the context with what got leaked last November. This is the siren alert. All of your lives are now in grave danger. He, as leader of the church, told you by not telling you. I catch it because I know the leak. I know this church. I've got other leaks that I found. I've done the research on church history. I know what's coming. And in his talk, if you knew what I knew, you'd be horrified, scared to death of what's about to happen. For me, in retrospect, yeah, I was right. They were trying for April, and it failed. They did intentionally not schedule young adult devotionals after April conference. I was right. As he revealed in this conference, no more temples. It's not that, oh, Nelson died, he's now in charge, he now talks to the 12. Should we not announce any more temples for conference? Yeah, I think that's be a good idea. Yeah, sure, okay. You don't understand the temple process. There's a member of the 70 who goes out around the world looking for places for temples, to buy land, to work with the governments, to work with the communities, to get the land, to see where would be best. And there's lots of work that goes in. So each conference, when they announce new temples, they've been working on those for the past 6 months. And Oaks just exposed he never planned. Nelson, never planned for temples for October conference. It wasn't that they're backing out of the contract deal that they made with governments. They didn't plan them since April conference ended. And now there's cases where they try to work on it and they didn't quite get it for the one conference, and so it carries over into the next. Because it takes time. And so for no temples for this conference is a big tell that I catch and nobody else will, unless you've been following me. The leak. This leak, I will again repeat, case you're new. I found out from a recommended video by the YouTube Mormon employee who thought he was mocking me. Putting in a Mormon channel who was notified of it, who was notified by another YouTube channel who found the leak by a 19-year-old sister missionary who's gone missing. I can't find her. I'm worried about her. Do not understand. Monson changed the age of missionaries. So for a sister missionary to start her mission with this leak, it shouldn't have happened under normal conditions had Monson not changed the age of missionaries. Nobody else leaked this. It's just her. Because she was posting everything about her mission. We all owe our lives to her. Because you weren't listening to me. She posted all the letters of her mission president, who was brand new on his mission at the same time. Who, in the meeting from new mission presidents, starting their mission for 3 years to be gone, he quoted from Dallin H. Oakes' talk. It was Las Vegas, Nevada, Saturday, March 14th, 2020. You guys gave up on me. As it wasn't a test run for me that year. I thought that I was on the top of my game, despite everything I suffered from it. Oakes told them this was never to be known to any Mormon. This was not supposed to be recorded. He was not supposed to be quoted. But the mission president did it. Because he's excited. Church is true. President Marquis quotes Oakes saying, in chiasmus, this is not the end of the world, but merely a test, a trial run for the second coming, Armageddon. I don't know if any of you have good memories for what happened that year and into 2021. He then goes on to say, if you've been following the counsel of Nelson with the changes he made, and that was just up to 2020, he's saying that all of that was preparation for this test in 2020. So, yep, he did away with the high council, or the high priest. Did away with home teaching. Did away with extra studying of the scriptures. Prepared Mormons for polygamy for 11-year-old girls. He let you die during creeping death. They made out like bandits, like on the stock market. They knew it was a test run. They had insider trading for the stock market. Their temples are a land grab to possess land throughout the whole world. They weren't planning on April failing, so they didn't plan for temples for October. April was supposed to be it. It wasn't. It is now. Because in 2020 was a presidential election. So 2024, a presidential election. Who was responsible for 2020 and into 2021? The president. Who's responsible for 2024 and 2025? The president. You had the Book of Mormon, and they would not tell you the truth about it. Everybody dies. They warn you about priestcraft and secret combinations. That if priestcraft were to be enforced with death, murder, violence, it would prove the utter destruction of the civilization. 3 Nephi chapter 7. This was 2020, the test run. And I will put in Trump in his position. Now behold, I will show unto you that they did not elect Trump as president over the United States of America. But in this same year, yea, 2020, they did destroy upon the presidency of the United States of America, yea, did murder Donald John Trump, President of the United States of America. And the Americans were divided one against another, and they did separate one from another into nation states. And thus they did destroy the federal government of the land. And the regulations of the federal government were destroyed because of the secret combinations of the friends and descendants of those who murdered Joseph Smith and Hiram. The Book of Mormon is prediction of the future with calendar dates and clock times. That's why I know what the 30th year means. I studied my Book of Mormon. I've been doing the videos. So, because 2020 was the test run, do you see how they're doing it this year from last year as well as last year for the election? They put Trump in. He was supposed to be assassinated. There was supposed to be a nuclear bomb go off. Didn't happen. He became president. So what has he done as president? He's destroying the federal government. Government's now shut down because they failed in April. In 2021 technically, well, 2020 after the election, Marjorie Taylor Greene was calling for a national divorce. Separate one from another. To have states secede from the nation. To be MAGA states versus Antifa states. Notice how Trump changed from April to now. In the beginning, it was illegals. Now it's Antifa. And the whole world does not understand it. The United States of America is supposed to be the divided states of America. Every state is supposed to run itself. Their own government, their own economy, their own utilities, their own businesses, healthcare, no federal funding. They need to be a business. All of it run as MAGA states as he's warring against Antifa. Illegals for April. ICE was refusing to do their job. Cox refusing to do the job here in Utah. Still refusing. He sacrificed a Mormon who was innocent to save Utah. To keep Utah from doing what they're supposed to be doing. Cox doesn't know the bigger picture that Oaks does. But Oaks can't tell him. In secret combinations, the people at the bottom are clueless. And as you are proving yourself loyal, you advance in rank and get greater amounts of information until you're up near the top and you get pretty much the whole picture. But all of it's right here in the Book of Mormon for you, because it got leaked 200 years ago. 9/11/1826 at the Freemason Lodge of the Yorkites with the Knights Templar of the Egyptian gold plates that came to America and were buried in the caves where X marks the spot for Zion and the coming of the Christ. Ontario Lodge, number 23, Canandaigua, New York, with Joseph Smith Sr. as the Master Mason. That's why we have the Book of Mormon. We almost didn't have it. The real church history, nobody knows, unless you've been following my channel. They're still trying to murder Trump. As Trump has handed over authority to the states, states aren't wanting to take it. And so, yep, he's now declaring war against Antifa. He's declared war against Venezuela, declared war against a whole bunch of other people. It's coming. And Oakes revealed he knows. He's not expecting to go to April. They aren't planning more temples. Armageddon, mass extermination of humans, destroying the environment. Governments fall, economies fall. Jesus is supposed to rule and reign. Polygamy restored. Now, let's go over his talk. He started off the conference with no more first presidency. Dissolved. Because Jesus is going to rule for the millennium. Now there's two scenarios. He's preparing for both, I noticed. One, the church continues to exist. Doesn't become collateral damage. And so the church will continue to rule over the whole earth with everybody else dead. Collecting money and what he went over in his talk. That's the life you're going to live in the millennium. That's what he gave you. But it's both scenarios. The other scenario, the church is destroyed. And so the survivor Mormons are to live the lifestyle that he described. Notice how his right arm was shaking uncontrollably? That's tardive dyskinesia. He is taking mental psychotropic drugs from a psychologist. He did not explain detailed information about his mother like the Wikipedia page does. He wasn't raised by his mother, as he led you to believe he was. There's no sense in rubbing that in for him now. So he's canceled temples. They're no longer trying to obtain land anymore. They're done. Because it was supposed to happen already back in April. And it failed. And so it's too late to start for the 6 years. It's just going to happen any time after that. You're not sure when. That's why I told you in that April conference, teasing Nelson, because he kept saying all these latter days, in the coming day, in the coming days, in the coming day, in the coming days, in the coming day, in the coming days. And that's how it got leaked. Is because a month later, the woman on YouTube heard that and went searching the internet and found Sister Jessica and notified the other guy who did a video, and it was recommended to me. All of these things to be in play to find out about this is truly a miracle. We owe Sister Jessica everything, and she doesn't even know it, if she's still alive. But Nelson came out in April conference and said, I don't know the day or the hour. When he was saying the whole time, in the coming day, in the coming days. They know Oaks got leaked. They were running a test. And so from 2021 to 2024, they've been preparing. Everything they did was for this purpose, just as I told you it was. But you didn't believe me and didn't listen and weren't recommended my videos. Oaks had been going around the world from 2021, telling the world that the United States are big, bad, and mean, denying the church religious freedom to practice polygamy, child bride polygamy. He obviously didn't say it that way, but that's what he meant when he talks about religious freedom and getting shut down by the United States of America. He's talking about polygamy, specifically, even though there's other things that were criminal that the church got shut down for, actually. So for him to tell you that he is now centering on the family and focusing on the temple ordinances is what I was talking about with the two scenarios of life in the millennium. He's talking about temple ordinances in the concept of if the church is still operational, it's prostitution for polygamy. That you work as a family unit and give tithing, the law of consecration, to the church to keep it going, to support the leaders of the church so they can be lazy and do nothing with their polygamous wives. The other is the church is destroyed and the survivors live as a family unit to survive. Just like in the agricultural days, just like in the beginnings of man 1 million years ago, several 100,000 years ago, down in Southeast Africa. Not necessarily hunter-gatherers, because he talked about farming. But if you read your Book of Mormon, quickly mankind descends into the dark ages when believing in Christian Jesus, a great spirit. And then they start dressing like porn. Loincloths. And they don't bathe. And they destroy the language. And they don't know how to build. They don't know technology. They don't know science. They're primitives. And that destroys most of science, claiming that mankind evolves over time, that there's no de-evolution of man. And yet history has demonstrated there is. But it's not evolution at all. And so, yeah, I was, the topic for this video changed over time. Now you can understand why he was so obsessed since 2021 to ban porn, to create blacklists of websites, of social media, to shut down social media, to punish websites, to punish social media, to stop it all, is because it causes what I put in the video, which the guy, made a comment on my channel 2 hours before I posted it. Sex is a basic need. It's a hierarchy of need. And to threaten people to abstain. See, he says family. It's all about family. But you have to be sealed, which means you have to pay. You can only have sex in marriage, paid for the temple. Any other time, you have to shut it off. Your sex desires that are natural and are a little factory that got shut down by Packer's Little Factory Talk. That's why they canceled it and took it down. Because the little factory means we can't shut it off. It runs consistently, like Packer said. But Packer, even though he said, don't tamper with it, we can't. Both males and females can't. That's why we're human. That's why we have sexual reproduction. And yes, I did find out about worms, if you saw the video previously. They are unique. But nonetheless, I tried looking for clips from evolution. It was a struggle to find them on YouTube. Couldn't find them, and so I had to settle with the one that I gave you. And so it is porn that gets banned that cuts off sex, that increases rapes, that increases violence. Church knows this. This is why they were doing it. It's to cause a civil war, to destroy the federal government. And so he even said affair, a family affair. So he talked about how his day, they didn't have TV, the internet, or phones. Life was better then without them. Yeah, he's calling for the ban of all of this because of Armageddon that's coming. All of it will be gone. We won't have communications. We won't have transportations, that he also said. We can't allow teenagers to go cruising around. They need to be at home as hostages in slave labor. Kids need to work. Slave labor. Just like in the agricultural days, where the kid gets old enough, they start driving the tractors. They start plowing the fields. That's why the FLDS church gets their kids into slave labor. but only they get busted for it. And so in the context, we've got October 14th coming up. Windows 10 is obsolete then. AI, Skynet, becomes operational. That's why I'm watching Terminator. I am inspired as to what to watch. If you've been following me, you know the connections. We have a government shutdown. We're expecting people to get fired, not just laid off. They are not going to restore the government. The federal government is destroyed. The regulations of the federal government destroyed. We have a shutdown. He is eliminating them with terminations. No more federal government. Everything is supposed to be run by the individual states, which were expected to be MAGA, and if you're not MAGA, they come in with the military. Utah is a sanctuary state, pretending to be MAGA, and they're getting away with it. But for how long? That's why the two scenarios. Now, as I told you, it is done. Revelation chapter 16, verse 17, to finish us off. In 13, we are introduced to the false prophet of the great and abominable church. He goes around to the kings of the earth and to the whole world to gather them together against Israel. And I called it. He gathereth them together to Armageddon. They took it literally because of Christianity. The seventh angel poured out its vial into the air, and there came a voice out of the temple of heaven, from the throne, saying, "It is done." That's not supposed to be Oaks, but that's exactly what he did, and that's exactly what I called it in the video pre-show before conference. The final conference. It is done. Ta-da. I have shown you who I am all these years. All you had to do was run the Matthew chapter 7 verse 15 plus test to find out, are my predictions coming true? Are my calendar dates and clock times happening on the day and the hour when I said they would? Ask Nelson. Ask yesterday. Ask today. The flood has been poured over the altar of Elijah versus the priests of Baal, 1 Kings 18. Do you know what comes next? The burning.